Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Scott. Today, we're going to be painting the Kruleboyz Murknob with Belcha-Banna. This comes from Age of Sigmar. It's part of the Orc War Clans army. I've had fun painting it. We've tried to lean away from the brighter matte colors that I usually use on my works, and instead focus on dark and metallic colors. So let's go ahead and dive into how I painted this model. Now to start this model off, we're going to paint his skin. Now I'm not going to show how to paint his skin in this video, but if you'd like to know how I did that, check out my previous video, How to Paint Orc Skin. Once we've done the skin, we're going to start working on his clothing. And we're going to use Rhinox hide. We're going to paint this all over his cloak, as well as the mantle that he's wearing over his upper body. This is a pretty dark color, it's almost black. And that's fine. It does mean that it's going to be a little bit hard to see here on the camera, but our goal is to go for a dark color. Once that is dried, we're going to go through with Agrax Earthshade and we're going to shade this down. We're going to put this all over all the brown clothing we've previously done. We're going to go ahead and let it pool up. This is going to dull down the brown. It's going to make it look a little bit more dusty and dirty, as well as darker. Now that we've darkened it down, we're going to go through and we're going to do a heavy dry brush with Mournfang Brown. This is going to build the color back up. It's going to make it a lot brighter. It's going to start looking a little bit more brown and not looking quite so black. Now it's okay if you go a little bit too heavy in some spots. We want this to look uneven. This is supposed to give a leathery appearance, and the leather can be more worn out in some spots than it is in others. And once that's done, we're going to go through with Rakarth Flesh. We're going to highlight the edges of his clothing, as well as any of the stitches that happen between the different layers of clothing, or the different pieces of fabric, rather. We're also going to use this color to pick out the straps that are on the front of the model, as well as his leg wraps, and the severed heads that are on his banner. Once the Rakarth Flesh is dried, we're going to go through with Contrast Nazdreg Yellow. We're going to paint this on the straps, on his leg wraps, and on the stitches on his clothing. This is going to give kind of a yellowish tan color to those straps. It's going to make them look like maybe they were rope, or maybe they were a lighter shade of leather, and it's going to help make it so there's a little bit of different color going on here. Once that's done, we're going to take a Thonian Camo shade. We're going to just put this on the severed heads. This is just going to make them look like they're a little bit old, maybe they've discolored and started to rot a little bit. Once we've done that, we're going to take Screaming Bell. We're going to paint this on all of the armor panels that are designed to look like squig faces. This is kind of a orange metal color. It's very good for this, and you're going to see that we're going to be able to turn this into a red by the time we're done. Once the Screaming Bell has dried, we're going to take Carberg Crimson, and we're going to shade this all over those metal panels. You're going to see this is going to start to give it kind of a red, purple, maybe even a little bit of a pink color tone to it. And this is just the second layer in our transition up to red. And if you want, you could do multiple coats like this and give it an even darker red tone. At this point, we're going to take Mephiston Red, and we're going to start layering this on the banner and the armor panels. Now our goal here is to make this look like this paint has chipped off or has eroded away as a result of living in a swamp. So we're only painting this on the flat surfaces. We're leaving all the little edges without this red paint on them because we want them to look like it's worn off, like I said before. Once we've finished our red layer, we're going to go through with Nyluk Oxide. We're going to let this seep into all the crevices or indents, recesses, anywhere that water might pool up. And we're making the assumption that this banner has some copper mixed into it, and that's why it's getting this blue rust effect on it. And if you want to go crazy with this and put it all over, you could definitely do that. It's just going to make it look more worn out. And with that done, we're going to take Lead Belcher. We're going to pick out the sword and all the spikes that are on the banner and any details on the model's armor that we want to be this silver color. With the Lead Belcher dry, we're going to take a Thonian Camo shade and we're going to just wash this over all the areas we just painted with the Lead Belcher. This is going to give the metal a somewhat green tone to it, and we're doing this because we want it to match with the theme of these orcs being swamp dwellers. Once that shade has dried, we're going to take Necron Compound. We're going to dry brush this all over the silver areas. We want to really focus on getting the edges here with this, because we don't want to cover up the green tone that we just barely gave to the metal. We just want to pick out the edges so that they shine, so that this still looks silver. Now that that's all done, we're going to begin working on the tongue. We're going to start with Genestealer Purple. I've watered this down a little bit more than I should have, but that's okay. It just means it'll take more coats to get the finish that we want. Now we're going to paint this all over the tongue, and we're going to be careful not to get this on any of the red or any of the Lead Belcher parts. And we're just going to take our time. We're going to paint the back of the tongue as well. Once that purple is dried, we're going to take Drakenhof Nightshade, and we're just going to shade this all over the tongue. It's going to give us a darker purple tone, maybe even a little bit of a blue tone to the tongue. Once that shade is dried, we're going to go through with Iron Rack Skin. And we're going to use this to highlight the different maggots that are coming out of the tongue, as well as any of the edges on the tongue that we want to pick out. We might add a couple just discolored spots to the tongue with this color. We're also going to take all of the severed heads. We're going to highlight the brow and the different raised surfaces on the head. Now we're going to begin working on the armor of the Knob. We're going to start with Balthazar Gold, and we're going to pick out the armor plate that's on his back, as well as his shoulder, his shin guards, and there's a bracer on one of his arms as well that we'll pick out with this color. Once that Balthazar Gold is dried, we're going to take Agrak's Earthshade. We're going to wash this all over the previous color. This is going to darken it down. It's also going to dull it so it's not quite as shiny. That's not necessarily our goal, but that is the effect it's going to have. Now we're going to take Retributor Armor. We're going to do an edge highlight on all the raised parts of the armor panel here. And our focus is to make this look uneven and discolored, as if the metal has different levels of aging and maybe even a different distribution of the minerals that are in the armor. Once we're done with that, we're going to take Lead Belcher. We're just going to go pick out all the rivets any of the spikes that are protruding off of the armor. It's also a good time to clean up any of the details that we may have messed up in the past that involve lead belcher. Now we're going to take Wraithbone and we're going to pick out the skull that's hanging from the banner. And this is a pretty simple step. You're going to use multiple coats because we did have a black underneath all of this. So it's going to take a few coats. Just be careful not to get this on the banner or on the chains. Once that's done, we're going to take Mournfang Brown. We're going to pick out all the straps that are holding the severed heads on. We're also going to pick out the hair on the heads. We're going to do all 3 heads with the same color of hair just for simplicity. Once that is dried, we're going to take Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to shade this over the skull, the hair on the heads, and any of the leather straps that we highlighted with this color. When you get to the skull, go ahead and go a little bit heavier, just to make it so the skull darkens down just a little bit more. Once that's done, we're going to take Moot Green, and we're going to pick out the slime that's coming off of the tongue. We're doing this with Moot Green with the intention of layering it later on with another color. We're going to do the same thing to this severed head up here, except we're going to use Corn Red. We're assuming that this severed head's a little more fresh, and so it has blood coming out of it. Now we're going to take Nurgle's Rot, and we're going to just layer this over that Moot Green that we did before. And this is just going to give it a glossy swamp water kind of tone to it. We're going to do the same thing over that Corn Red. This time we're going to use Blood for the Blood God, which will also stay very glossy, and it's going to continue looking like wet blood all the way up through the end of this process. We're going to go ahead and splatter this around as well a little bit. Okay, now we're going to take Nylock Oxide. We're just going to go and dab it on a few spots of the armor panels just to make them look a little bit more aged and rusty. You can go as heavy or as light as you want with this. With that, we've finished our Murknob. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead and give it a like, then subscribe to my channel so you can see future videos. And then go ahead and comment and let me know what you'd like to see me do in future videos. Maybe there's a specific model I can paint, or a specific technique or color scheme you'd like to see. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.